Hey and welcome. In today's video, I want to answer a question that I actually received on another one of my videos. The question was, how do you feel about somebody with zero experience in online businesses getting into the space? Would it be an easy transition, and would it be a good idea to hire a guru? This was a question that I received in the comments in response to one of my videos about purchasing a business through Empire Flippers. And I just love getting comments and questions because it really makes it easy for me to know what to produce as far as content for the people who are subscribed to this channel. So I just want to say thank you to the individual that posted this question, and I am going to answer it with what I have to think and say about this. And what I've done is just created my notes here, and I'm just going to go through them and talk about them. They're here mostly just to keep me on track. But you say, okay, initially, if you're somebody who's brand new to the whole idea of running an online business, should you just run out and go to Empire Flippers and hit click and, put in your credit card and buy a business? And the answer to that question is probably no. I wouldn't recommend that. And there's a couple reasons for it. One, I think it's really hard to evaluate a business when you don't necessarily know that much about it. But does that mean that you have to hire someone to do that? Does that mean that you can't learn how to do these things on your own and in what I would say is a reasonable amount of time? I think you can. And I just use my own personal experience. Like I didn't hire an expert to help me with this. I took some time and learned what I felt like I needed to know about this. Now, if what you want to do is buy something immediately, like you have this money, it's burning a hole in your pocket, that is something that you could do. You could hire someone to help you do that in order to ride the transaction with you and then also help you to run the business after the fact. But if you have some time, I think that it's entirely possible to get up to speed enough in the business and then be able to have a good experience like I did, because I just speak from my own personal experience. That's what I did. I'm not a guru. I don't sell courses about how to do these things. I didn't hire anybody to help me do this. I just used what I had learned and what I knew, and then went ahead and used that to help myself through this process. So let's talk about it. How easy or difficult would it be for someone who's a beginner to jump into this space? Initially, I think it depends upon the business. Even if you hire I keep saying guru, even if you hire an expert to help you evaluate the business, you still need to know how to operate the business after you close the transaction. And some people who might be jumping into this may not really think too much about that part. They may think about the deal up front because it's really exciting, right? It's exciting, and there's some, negotiating and horse trading and seeing if you can get the best value for what it is that you have. But after the fact, then you're left with the business, right? They give you the keys and they hand you everything and they're like, see you later. And then if you don't know what you are doing and there are some complex parts to move, then you can actually be left with something that's going to be a real loser for you, because you don't know what to do, and you may have to either struggle your way through it and suffer some losses early on while you learn, which can be okay, frankly. Or you can hire someone and bring someone in to help you with that until you're up to speed. And frankly, I struggle with people who claim to be gurus, right? Or who claim to be experts, because if you are totally green, right? You don't know anything. If you have no idea what you're doing and you hire someone who says that they do, how can you manage them? How can you analyze and be able to understand whether or not they're actually doing a good job for you? I would recommend, even if you're planning on hiring somebody to help you through this process or afterwards to run the business, that you at least get up to speed on a surface level, so that you can just have a general idea of whether or not they're delivering upon their promises. Because if you don't know, then you don't know what you don't know, and it's really dangerous. Another thing that you have to know is with Empire Flippers, and this was my experience, the deal can take a while. And there is a lot of time in the in-between for you as the buyer and the seller to talk about the business. And there's a period of, I say it's a requirement, but really it's an encouragement from the Empire Flippers team that the seller train the buyer on how to run the business. So the seller will provide to you written standard operating procedures. There really should be a step-by-step of all the things that you need to do to be able to step into their shoes. So the names of all their manufacturers, all their contacts, their, if they're employees or contractors or, Filipino virtual assistants or whatever, like they need to give you everything to run that business. And if they don't give you everything, theoretically, to run the business, then the transaction doesn't close until you get those things. So, as far as running the business, like you can, if you are comfortable with this, learn on the fly how to run the business after the fact, if you can get through the initial negotiating, evaluating and getting up to the place where a sale price can be agreed upon. Like you can learn how to run the business potentially during the, I call it the escrow period or before close. But there's a couple areas that I think that I wouldn't just jump into it, and I wouldn't rely upon the closing period in order to learn. And we'll talk about that a little more. So some businesses I think are more complicated than others to evaluate and to run. I think that the AdSense and Amazon Associates and affiliate businesses that you see listed on Empire Flippers, and I'll just flip over there. You can see they have the AdSense affiliate and Amazon Associates. I think those businesses are the easiest to evaluate and the easiest to run because they are primarily associated with websites. And maybe this is easy for me because this is something that's a strength for me already. But theoretically, these businesses are running passively. So they don't necessarily involve you doing something every day to make the business, to make the sale, to make the revenue come in. Everything that earns the revenue for these businesses on a regular basis has already been done. And so this is more of a maintenance situation, which is what I like about them. I like that they're very passive because I don't want clients. I don't want to deal with returns. I don't want to be talking to people. I just want to do the day-to-day when I have time for it. And sometimes I don't have time for it, but when I don't have time for it, there are, for the most part, no disasters. Like it's not horrible. Things just keep chugging on and things get better when I have time to invest in them. And then when they don't, for the most part, everything still functions. So the Amazon Associates businesses are generally websites with content that recommend products to people. So they click on the link, they go to Amazon, then you get paid. The same with affiliate businesses. In general, these are websites. They may have some components of social media or YouTube, but for the most part, these are already established, and then you can make more money with the business by adding more content either on the website or on social media or on YouTube or whatever. So I think those are some of the easiest to evaluate and the easiest to run because, again, they're very passive. And so you can look at the history of the traffic and the revenue, and it's really difficult for sellers to manipulate these things. They can't manipulate the reports from Google Analytics, although they can manipulate how the traffic gets there. But again, you can see that because you can see the origin of the traffic. And you can watch how stable it is. So again, I think that these are easy places to get into and easy to run after the fact. Some of the other sites that are available on Empire Flippers and on other brokerage sites, I think are medium to hard. And I would suggest that rather than jumping in on the fly, that you do some prep before you evaluate the business and before you move into the closing and then running the business. And those I think are drop shipping and Amazon FBA, and not because they're too difficult to run. I think that the model is actually fairly simple. I mean, mostly you have a good product and you need to be able to sell that product and then deliver that product and then deal with the customers. And so as a business model, I think there are less technical things to do than there are potentially with running a website when you're dealing with all the technical aspects of it. And with drop shipping, I mean, you can do it with a simple one-page funnel, and you have the sales page and then the thank you page and then just getting them the product and dealing with returns and whatever. What can be complicated about drop shipping is how you get traffic to the site. And if you don't have organic traffic going to purchase the product, like you don't already have people who know about the product and love the product, either on your website or on eBay or on your own website or Shopify or on Amazon even, then you're going to have the skills to be able to make that happen. And that can be where you need to get up to speed. So in evaluating the business, you don't necessarily need a ton of expertise. I mean, you can watch how stable it is. You can look at the product and have an idea about whether or not this is something that is trending or trendy and people aren't going to like anymore, because you can watch the spikes and how long it is that the product has been selling and how long it's been selling well. But the traffic can be the challenge. So if the revenue is dependent upon Facebook traffic, for example, and you have no idea how to do Facebook ads, that is something that would give me pause and say, okay, you either need to get up to speed on Facebook ads, or you need to find somebody to work with who can help you run these Facebook ads until you get to a place where you can do it. And in they say, oh, well, we can train you to do Facebook ads and we can train you to do that. I don't think that you can learn how to run Facebook ads really well in a day or in a couple hours. And if you do something wrong with Facebook and they ban you, then that traffic source for you is gone. Like, it's just gone. And so you won't get it back. You have to find a completely different way to get traffic to your site. So I don't mess around with Facebook ads, and I don't think you should either. Does that mean that you shouldn't buy a dropshipping business as a newbie or as a beginner? I don't think so necessarily. It just means that that's an area that you recognize as a weakness for you, and you need to have a plan to shore that up. Amazon FBA, I think, is a fairly simple business model. And actually, I like Amazon FBA as a business to buy, because it can be really difficult for someone who is brand new getting in, and getting established on Amazon and getting a product, establishing connections with a manufacturer and the freight forwarders and getting the product, branded and labeled and all of the things. Like, these are really difficult things in the beginning when you don't have these relationships, when you have no idea what to do. And so buying your way into an Amazon FBA business that is stable and already successful is actually a fairly decent way, I think, of breaking into Amazon FBA, because once you have established connections with manufacturers and you have this process set up, really what you're looking at learning how to do is run the business, just maintain it, just keep doing what it is that this business is doing successfully, and looking forward to adding new products. I mean, you already have the template, you already know what works, you already have a manufacturer and freight forwarders and VAs and all the people in place. All you have to do is figure out new products to add, and then you already have the process completely documented. So if Amazon FBA is something you are really thinking about doing, then I think there's a lot less risk in buying an existing and successful FBA business than there is jumping in and hoping that the product that you've chosen to brand and sell and invest in, because you do have to invest some, if not quite a bit of money in the beginning to get started, and there's no guarantee that it will actually work. As far as support as a service or, KDP, there can be with support software as a service, there are more potentially moving parts to this, but I think that the challenge is in evaluating it, because if you evaluate the business, you evaluate the product, and you hit on something that's good, I mean, theoretically, everything should already be in place to continue its success, similar to Amazon FBA. With KDP and merch, this can mean that there are fewer moving parts, and it really just depends on whether or not these products, KDP is the Kindle Direct Publishing, it's ebooks, and merch is shirts and mugs or whatever it is through Amazon. If the products are already selling organically, then that might be a good place for someone who is a beginner to jump in. But if you have to make the sales for these products from running ads through Amazon advertising, again, if you don't know what you're doing, this is just a place that that you'll need to shore up before you can successfully run the business. So let's say you've decided to get into the space. Like, you say, I'm a beginner and I know I'm a beginner, but I want to get into it. I'm ready. I want to do this. there's a couple things that you could do. One is you could hire someone to help you evaluate the business and then to help you run it after the fact. I mean, that is an option, and I don't think it's a bad one, assuming that you can find someone who you fit with and who is trustworthy and the price is right for you. Regardless of whether or not you hire a guru, you need to educate yourself. You know, if you're not going to hire help or have a friend or someone you know that you trust to help you, you need to get educated. And this doesn't mean that you have to invest thousands of dollars to do this. Just because this is about online business, there's actually a ton of high quality content available on YouTube. There just is, actually. And I've spent, I would say, hundreds of hours just, you know, listening to podcasts and, you know, doing chores around my house while listening to videos. And there's a lot of crap out there. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but there is a lot of information out there that you could consume and you could acquire and you could take in that could help you do this, especially on the AdSense businesses, on affiliate businesses, on Amazon FBA. There's a ton of stuff out there on Amazon FBA that's really high quality. So, and drop shipping. I mean, there are a lot of people out there who put out these videos because they want to sell you something. They want to sell their course or their ebook or their product or their videos or the consulting or coaching or whatever. But to do that, they have to give you value. And there is lots of high quality information in even those webinars where they're trying to sell you something at the end. And so I don't think that you should be put off or feel like you have to buy a course to get into some of these. However, I do think that if Amazon FBA is where you are headed, or you need to run Facebook ads or Google ads or, you know, some other paid advertising, I do think that those are areas where it can be really good to invest in a high quality course, and you know, just so you get the most up-to-date tips and tricks and tactics and ways to avoid losing your account. Because if you do, I mean, your business is dead in the water if it depends 100% on these traffic sources. You should also, before you buy your business, is join communities where people are doing all the same things, you know, Facebook groups, or, you know, buy one of those, a course out there from somebody who's selling access to his community as a part of it. You know, it's a cheap course, like $47 for a year. And then you get access to, you know, all of their forums and to being able to talk to people who are also doing this and chatting about it. And this will be a great way for you to learn a lot about the space. You may also try to find yourself a mentor, you know, somebody who's doing what it is that you are doing, and it could be paid or not paid, just somebody who you can follow and you have somebody to ask questions of as you're going on, because that can be really valuable to you. The next thing I would recommend is before you buy a business, if it's possible, do a trial run on whatever it is that you're planning on doing. Something small, you know, with really low expectations and low risk, and fully accept that you will do it wrong and you'll make mistakes and potentially lose whatever small amounts of money that you invest in it, because you get in there and realize, I've done this all wrong. I totally suck at this. This was bad. And you shouldn't take that as a sign that you shouldn't move forward with buying someone else's successful online business. Just take all those failures and all those mistakes, and then you'll know that those are failures and mistakes that you won't make when you actually buy your business. And I did this, and I think it was a really invaluable process, and an invaluable part of being able for me to successfully purchase an online business in the future, because I know already what I did wrong, and I know already what was wrong with the businesses that I started, and it really enabled me to get through that purchase and then running the business after process. You know, and another thing I think you should do is really look at how you feel about running the business when you try it out. You know, do you really enjoy what you're doing, or do you just tolerate it, or do you hate it? Because if you don't like managing a WordPress, you know, if you're then why would you want to buy a business that's based upon running a website? Like, if you really hate it, then, you know, to keep it profitable and to make it even more profitable, you're going to have to do this work. And if you don't like it, you're either not going to do it or you're going to have to hire it out. So if you hate it, then don't do it. And so really quick before I go, holy cow, this video is 20 minutes long. Just some quick tips before you decide to jump in and buy a business. Just remember, there are two aspects of this. One is evaluating the business for purchase and then running it. So don't just focus on one or the other, because if you only focus on one, then you can really get hosed on the other part. You don't want to do that. When you're evaluating a business, the money can really put stars in your eyes, like, oh, if I buy this business, I could potentially earn this amount of money, per month or per year for forever and ever. That is a distraction. Try to focus on the metrics aside from the revenue. Look at the traffic, look at the expenses, look at the time spent and what you will actually need to do to run in the business, and the amount of money that it is earning or could earn, something that is secondary. I also recommend that if you're going to buy a business, that you only invest the money that you could really afford to lose. So there's quite a bit of a risk associated with an online business, just because there's so much that could happen that could change the business. If your business is completely focused on getting traffic from Google, there could be a change in Google and your business could be gone and there's no assets to sell. Like you might have a brick and mortar business. At least you could sell, the inventory, for a discount, or sell the building or the Goodwill or whatever. With an online business, you could go from having an asset that's worth $1 million, and overnight it's worth nothing, like literally nothing. So if you, mortgage your house to purchase a business, you lose the business, you lose your house. That's bad. Don't invest money that you couldn't actually lose. Only buy a business from someone or a broker that you can trust, and don't deal with anyone who refuses to use escrow, refuses to give you direct access to the information about the site, such as analytics, access, or access to their AdSense account or Amazon account or Facebook account or whatever, so you can verify for yourself that what they're telling you is true. Definitely spend a lot of time doing your due diligence. You might feel rushed to try and make an offer on a site because these sites sell quickly. I mean, sometimes they do. People will make full price cash offers and the site's gone, and you thought, oh, this is the one, I love this site. But don't feel rushed. Be patient. There are going to be more businesses and there are going to be more sites. If you rush, you'll end up probably paying more than you should have, or you'll end up with something that maybe you wouldn't have bought if you had taken the time to actually do your due diligence about it. And if you find yourself in the middle of the process and you need help, like you need help from a lawyer or you need help from someone to evaluate something, like don't be afraid to go and get that help. Ask questions of someone, or even pay someone to help you through that. You can do just about everything, but if there's something that you need help with, get that help. Also, be prepared for a period during the sale and afterward where the business could struggle or stagnate or even does really poorly, because it can take a while to transfer everything. Sometimes the site may even be offline. You're transferring hosting or the domains, or things just get taken down, or maybe products aren't available, or maybe the seller didn't reorder the product and you have to wait for the product to come in from, somewhere on the other side of the world. So if your business if you personally can't handle the business not making money for a couple weeks or a couple months even, or even longer, then don't buy it. Just be prepared and have money set aside to be able to weather a period of stagnation while you are learning to run the business and while everything is getting switched over. And again, make sure that you like what it is that you are buying and you're willing and interested in working on it. I cannot tell you how many people buy businesses and then don't like it. And it's surprising to me that you could spend that much money and find that you're not that interested in it, and then they turn around and sell it, realize that they can't get what it is that they paid for it because they didn't maintain it. They didn't do the things to help it continue to hold its value, and end up taking a loss. And finally, I don't think that you should mortgage the farm and start with buying a business that is is worth or valued at $1 million or more. Sometimes you can get small business loans to buy these bigger businesses. If you don't know what you're doing, I would recommend that you start small and maybe be prepared to bite it bad and to ruin something to learn before you invest a ton of money. I think beginners can get into this space, and frankly, everybody starts as a beginner. I mean, everybody does. And the question is, how do you get the information and training that you need to be able to do these things well? If you say, oh, well, I'm a beginner, and I don't know what to do, and that means that I shouldn't do it, then you'll never get started. And I don't think that's a good attitude to take. I would just go out there and start educating yourself and learn what you need to know. And also, as you take steps, be prepared to fail, and be prepared to make mistakes, and know that every one of those things is something that's necessary for you to go on and be successful. So to go back to the initial question, how do I feel about somebody with zero experience on online businesses getting into the space? I don't think it's an easy transition necessarily, but I don't think it is impossible, and I don't think it's actually hard. What I think it just will take is some diligence and some work in educating yourself. And if you don't want to do that work, but you still want to get into the space, then I would hire someone, a consultant or an expert, or someone who is experienced in running the type of business that you want to purchase to help you evaluate the business and to run it afterwards. I do think that is a good idea, but only for people who are not interested or willing or don't have the time to focus on doing the work to make that transition. All right, you made it through 26 minutes worth of video. I am impressed. Thank you so much for watching this video. All the social stuff, I love comments, questions. Please give this a thumbs up. And if you want to get notified and oh heck, I'm going to do more videos, so subscribe already. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.